Hello there.
General Kenobi!
Let's do this one more time. Little Witch Academia, a show that under normal circumstances I probably would have never have watched, but I'm kinda glad I did watch it because it just casually became one of my favorite animes of all time. Actually no, it's just my favorite anime of all time. Now stop me if you heard this one before. A lovable human girl wants to become an all-powerful witch after obsessing over magic her whole life, despite lacking any of the natural abilities to become one. But on her way to becoming said great witch, she meets many new friends along the way and matures over time. Don't worry, I only joke. So our titular main character of this show is Akko, a girl who attends a magic school determined to become a great witch and just spends her time being just the dumbest person ever. Luckily for her, she found the main MacGuffin of the series, the Shiny Rod, which used to belong to her idol, Shiny Chariot, which is definitely not someone hiding in plain sight disguised as someone she now knows personally. But seriously, this show really did help fill the void during the big hiatus of the Owl House and Amphibia, and remember, with Amphibia, the last thing we saw was this.
Just need to...
So yeah, it really helped me get through that before season 3 started. So, with all that said, and my intense love for this show and wanting to show it in one of the best lights I can, what episode should I choose to talk about today? I mean, I could just be basic and do the first episode and say how it works as a great introduction to the world and characters. Nah. I could do one of the episodes that establishes how the world works. I could do that one weird episode where we see the dragon has stocks. I could do some of the major character development episodes. I mean, I could also do the ship teasing episode. Or I could do the episodes where we learned a lot about Diana's family. Or even, I could do the show's amazing final few episodes in one video. Or I could do the stupid episode where Constance and Akko build a robot. I'm gonna do the stupid episode where Constance and Akko build a robot. Yep, I'm doing Stanship Takeoff. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going for a ride. So our episode begins with Akko learning about the annual wild hunt that will be taking place this year in the town nearby the school. She learns this from her friend Lotte, or as I like to humbly call her, Underrated.
And those are the wild hunters. They're specialists trained to catch every single ghost in 12 days.
On a quick side note, I'm currently on a quest to obtain every image of her looking angry. My collection is currently up to 2. Naturally, Akko obviously wants to go see this event, and Ursula tells her that anyone can go see it. But that's not the current priority of Ursula, as she currently has suspicions that Croy might be up to something. All while she still tries to maintain her low, yet obvious that she has a secret identity, profile.
Is something wrong? Huh? Oh no, everything's just fine.
Don't worry, none of this is important right now because now the real plot begins. Akko sees a stand bot that belongs to Constance. I'm not even going to attempt that, and tries to help it, which of course leads to her breaking it. Akko takes the remaining pieces of Standbot to Amanda and Jasminka, who explain that Constance was having Standbot collect pieces because it turns out Constance is participating in the wild hunt. But then Akko accidentally discovers Constance's secret lair that she built into the school somehow, even though I thought Constance's love for technology wasn't allowed.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
Akko tries apologizing for breaking Standbot, but Constance unfortunately doesn't take it too well.
Oh, this place just got interesting.
Is it any wonder why I put her on the shrine of things I worship? So Constance promptly ejects Akko from the facility, and the next day, despite clearly now knowing that being around an angry, mute, short girl with a Tommy gun is probably dangerous, Akko insists on being a very aggressive wanderer and wanting to help Constance, despite Susie telling her that wouldn't be a good idea by casually insulting her.
To be fair, help from Akko usually does more harm than good.
And this is why I love Susie just a little bit more than Luna Loud. Why is this a running joke? As one would expect, Akko obviously starts annoying the Christ out of Constance until she finally puts her in idiot jail. This doesn't hold Akko for long as she manages to escape using her magic. We then finally learn that it turns out Constance was working on Bowser's airship, as Akko tries to finally relate to her, which almost works on Constance, but unfortunately it's too early for Constance to complete her arc for the episode yet, so she once again ejects Akko, which once again prompts Susie to, of course, insult Akko.
You're just going to cause her more trouble if you help out.
Just when Akko is about to finally give up, it turns out Constance could actually use some help, as she ends up needing a hand mixer for her invention, but due to her lack of communication skills, she can't convince the staff to let her borrow theirs. Luckily, Akko's a lot better at convincing people, which ends up working for Constance, otherwise she would have had to find an overpriced one on
eBay.
Hey, it was either I referenced that movie or a different film that I refuse to acknowledge. Finally seeing that Akko is of use, Constance decides to make her go-for, as she gives Akko a list of things and tells her to go get them, as the two of them start properly working together to finally build the ship. Also, either I've gone completely insane or this sounds a lot like the Wallace and Gromit theme. And within no time, the ship is complete. The next day, feeling inspired by everything, Akko makes her own mock-up of what a magic fighting robot would be like, which the Stanbots chastise her for being unrealistic until Constance sees them. Feeling inspired, she refines the plans and quickly begins to make alterations to the ship. That night, however, Croy spreads a rumor online about a ghost sighting in the area of the Wild Hunt, which of course attracts a whole bunch of people wanting to see the ghost. Luckily, no one there is in immediate danger, as it's now time for the Wild Hunt to begin, of course only being viewed by the characters important to the episode. So as the Wild Hunt begins, Akko and Constance make their way, and before you ask, no, magic's not a secret in this world. Basically everyone knows that witches are a thing and what they do. They make their way to the Wild Hunt, and everything starts going well. Until Croy unleashes
The cube.
Also, one detail I will always forever love is how, since Croy uses a more advanced synthetic type of magic, instead of a broom, she rides around on a Roomba. This show is the greatest thing of all time. So,
The cube.
turns into a giant bird monster, and the only way for Akko and Constance to combat that is... I just love their reactions.
What is that?
Wow, that is super lame.
That's so awesome!
We get a pretty good battle. The Wild Hunters lend them their magic to power up the robot. They beat the giant bird. They send
The cube.
blasting off again. And the robot inevitably falls apart to explain why they can't use it in any other episodes, even though it really would have come in handy during the climax. So all is well. We then get a semi-verbal confrontation between two of the most attractive characters, I mean Ursula and Croy. I can't believe I actually just said that into the mic. The episode ends with Constance giving Akko a broom that can quote-unquote fly as a way of saying thanks. And the pure happiness that comes from Akko because of this finally teaches Constance the emotion of joy. God, she's adorable. And the episode ends on that note. I like to consider this episode the Wing It Like Witches of the show, as it's the last episode before the show really kicks things into high gear for its finale, and it's a more lighthearted, character-driven episode. Though, unlike Wing It Like Witches, I wouldn't recommend this as a starting episode, as there's a bit of context you need to really understand what's going on. Hell, this episode's missing some important characters like Andrew, Diana, and Hannah and Barbara. Wait a minute. You
Cheeky.
little devil! But overall, I still think this is a really good episode, and this overall is just a really good show. Plus, it really helped me cope right after, and I'm gonna inevitably need it again after the Owl House is done. Disney! But I highly recommend this episode, and I highly recommend this anime. I consider it to be my favorite for a reason. Now, I'm your average bonehead Jay, and I wish you all good night.